Bing, boing, bing. Everybody has a story to tell with Toddy One Skip. Hey guys. Hello. Hey guys, this is Everybody Has a Story to Tell with Toddy One Skip. I am Toddy One Skip, and thank you for allowing me to be part of your day as always. I so appreciate it, guys. I really do. And I wanted to just talk to you about some stuff. So, all right. Now, Mr. Brian Cody said he brings up a few things that I want to talk about as well. So Brian Cody said that he wants, if we don't talk about the Whittakers, their story won't get out there, and that the Whittakers had welcomed him to their home so that they asked him, make a video, please, so that we can tell these people that we want our family back and we're not just leaving them behind. So, and then Brian says, if the story doesn't get out there, then they don't get their help. Okay, but not to use his stuff, I guess. Like he's saying people are using his content. Listen, man, the Whittakers seem to be everybody's content. You can't claim them as yours, just like Eric shouldn't have claimed them. And just like Mark didn't claim them. They are people. They're not to be claimed. Look at what happens when you claim things. You take responsibility. Do you want to be responsible for this shit? Yeah. Okay, so then Brian brings up, I think it is important. So let me just say, I think it really is important, and we should talk about it. We need to get the message out there. And you know what? I don't have a problem. I think it's really great that there are people that get in there and go through a whole timeline, because maybe somebody might have missed something that could be looking at this, and that's possible. And maybe something will be. I think that YouTubers don't get the credit that they now deserve. Honestly, since the Gabby Petito and so many cases, look at the Karen Reed case. There's so many cases that content creators have really made a difference. Okay. Some have not been so great, but some have been very good. So, all right. I think the most important thing is to not spread mis or disinformation. That's one thing. So when we have an opinion, we need to say it's our opinion, not facts or anything like that. So a few of you have asked, are you still speaking to Patrick? Yes, I am, but I don't treat him like a questionnaire. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I want to kind of, oh God, I keep saying like give him a safe place to speak from. But when he tells me something, I'm not going to put it online. I'm not. You guys that have been following me for a while, you know that I am not just going to ruin my integrity to get a story out there. That's something I'm never going to do. I'm not going to do that. So suffice to say, there's things going on behind the scenes that I'm not at liberty to talk about and that I don't want to talk about. I'll talk what he wants me to talk about and what he wants me to share. And I know that there's some questions that, I have some questions to ask, but I don't want it to be every time I have a question to ask him. And that's not what I'm going to do. I am not going to be that person. I'm not a fucking journalist. And I'm not going to treat people like I don't care about their life. So you're not going to get that from me. All right. So I know a few of you have been like, well, Toddy, what do you think about this? Or Toddy, what do you think about this? I don't know what I think about a lot of things. Here's what I think. I think that Patrick went about the hanging out with Timmy because of his true story. Timmy started coming over. He was curious. And Patrick just started hanging out with him and saying, realizing there was more to Timmy than what we gave Timmy credit for, in all fairness. And he got joy, it seems, out of doing things with Timmy. And he seemed to do things before there was ever any money involved. And then apparently there was money involved because Betty asked, if we're to believe the story, Betty said, "Can you get me some groceries?" And he said, "Yeah." And then he said, "You know what? Let's see if we can do it this way." I don't know. I don't know. I really can only go by what he says. All right. I don't know how easy it is to do a GoFundMe. I don't know, guys. We have a choice. We could believe or we could not believe. We could believe some of what somebody says and not all of what they say. We could believe none of what they say. It's up to us. I'm not here to convince anybody anything. I think it's important that you guys know where I'm coming from. And some of you aren't going to believe me. I don't care. I don't care. I'm telling you, I have no reason to tell you anything otherwise. So, I believe Patrick went into this with the attitude that he was just going to start hanging out. He didn't reach out for help to make money. It was Eric that reached out to Patrick. And he thought, what the fuck? Why not? And then I think Eric said, and we could probably do a house for them and this and that for them and everything. Kind of just the fucking same way that Sonny came in. First, it was just to help with cleaning up. Then it was, I'll take them to the lawyers. And that's why I think Patrick kind of shunned Sonny, because all of a sudden you were coming to help clean. Now you got a whole other plan. We just fucking did that. And that didn't work out too well. So somebody who just wanted to take over the situation. Was Patrick guilty of not looking out for his neighbors? I don't think Patrick realized what was going on until well after it was what it was. I mean, if you notice, he wasn't not in a lot of those videos. He had a broken leg. So how much did he know? I don't know. I don't think he knew as much as we thought he knew. That's what I'm going to say. Okay, so now there's the non-competition clause that Brian Cody had brought up. So let's talk about that for a second. So the Whittakers would have had to have signed a non-competition clause in that contract that they had, and that very well might be the case. However, they only started doing stuff with Brian Cody seriously in the month of October, right? Because it's already the 15th. When was Brian's first video? Right? Maybe the last week. It was after Eric left. So to be honest, if it's after Eric left, then where's the competition? He already broke it by leaving and taking money. So they get to keep all of the money because it was after that. Stop monetizing them now. Close it up. That's it. That's the end of it. It should have stopped the day that you feel that they had competition come in and that they breached the contract. So, okay, that's when you break down the channel and say, okay, that's the end of it. But that was after you had already left, Eric. So, and how are you going to take money? You can't double dip. You can't take money from donations to pay for something and then turn around and take it as a deduction, which is what you're trying to do. And I'm grateful that there's content creators out here showing what's going on. And that does need to be shown, because that shows the police, if they're watching this, the investigators, if they're watching this, holy shit, look at all of this stuff that's going on. So I'm all for that. Let's yell it out. Let's yell it out loud. So that's my feeling about what is going on and how things are and what I know and what I can share. So that's it, guys. I hope you have a great night. Yeah. Whew, the story just keeps getting better and better. And yeah, don't let this be your story, guys. Have a good one, and I'll speak to you really soon. Thanks. Bing, boing, bing. Everybody has a story to tell with Toddy One Skip.